leave a message after the tone.
All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah. Never seem to pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't call back, leave me alone. Please leave a message at the tone. All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah. Never seem to pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't call back.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 124 of the Missed Call Podcast. This is Cubwood, and as always, I'm here with Sauce Sartori. Big week. Sauce's curse has been lifted. It's been lifted.
Officially, it is over.
It is over.
Yeah, it is. And we should note that it is November 10th, Tuesday. The world is not over. We are 1 week post-election, and we are still here to tell you about it. The city of Chicago still stands, and all the other major metropolitan areas are still standing tall. So it seems like we did it, America.
We did it.
So like Cub kind of alluded to, big week to cover. We've got the curse that was me and the Cowboys it's lifted. Tony La Russa driving through people's front windows, and then we have all of week 9 to get to as well as our segments. You know, we've got grinding your gears, best things we saw. We've got some random thoughts and prayers to hand out this week. So we'll get to all of that, and as always, we'll wrap the show up with Tinder bios. Before we get to that, we want to remind you that this is a podcast presented to you by Bustin Media. You can follow Bustin Media at Bustin Media, BUSTEM Media, Bustin Media. You can book it. So let's get it rolling. Episode 124. Let's get the bad stuff out of the way first. All the bad juju, we'll get it out right now. Let's go with grinding our gears, Cub. Let's talk about it. What's pissing you off this week, man?
Okay, this could have been my random thought, but I hate cats so much, so that's why it's going to be grinding my gears. I don't
Fuck
like
a
cats.
cat.
I don't like cats. It's a dog.
Fuck a
podcast.
cat, but also fuck a cat. You know what I mean?
This is a dog podcast. We've said this numerous times. Okay. Why do cat owners give their cats the worst names, and why is it always Felix and then Mr. Insert name here?
Or like Prince something.
Or like Captain something. It's something stupid every time. Like, I don't know
Mr.
what it was.
Fluffles.
Yes.
That's like a quintessential cat name. It's like Mr. Fluffies or Mr. Fluffles.
I think they can name their cat that because I've never seen someone call a cat and it just comes or just appears.
Right. Like, I feel
it's like
having
a fish. It's like naming a fish.
Right. Like, okay, so my girlfriend and I have a fish, and its name is Plum. I would never name my dog Plum. But we have, so I think that's a great point. Like, if you're thinking about cats, right? You're never gonna call a cat, and the cat's gonna be like, "What up, motherfucker?"
I'm gonna greet you.
Whereas, like, if I call a dog, I'm like, "Rex, come here," and Rex just comes bounding over like, "Ooh,
Rex,
you know what I mean?"
Rex.
Right? The cat, I'm never gonna be like, "Sir Billingsworth Clyde, come over."
Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, and then the cat comes bouncing over. No, the cat says, "Fuck you," shows you its little cat butthole, and keeps walking past you. So the name isn't as important, I feel like, is why that happens.
So the other day I was walking home at like midnight because I watched the Boise State BYU game, and I'm on my street. A black cat comes towards me like trotting. I'm like, this isn't great. So then it stops, and I was like, okay, now I have to record it. And I'm like, and I always do this one with cats, and I don't do it on purpose. Like, I saw a cat a few weeks ago eating a mouse, and now this one, I'm like, what's up, dog? I'm like, the neighborhood watch is on patrol right now. But also, speaking of names of animals, I'm all over the place today. I know, I'm all over the place. A name for a girl dog. I thought of the other day. Sexy. Is that a bad name?
Yeah. The fuck?
With an I, though. With an I. Not a Y,
No.
Just an I. Sexy.
No.
I'll stick to boy dogs then.
I'm almost tempted to tell you to cut this out of the fucking podcast. That's awful. Why would you call your dog sexy? What's grinding my gears this week? You thought that was funny.
I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was unique and different.
Well, unique, different, and fucking weird are.
These
There's a
lights
fine
aren't
line.
helping my redness right now.
Okay, let's transition from that. What's pissing me off this week is so the PS5, the Xbox X, I think is what they're calling it.
The new Xbox.
The new gen of console gaming is getting ready to drop this week or next, and some famous people, namely LeBron James, they're getting it for free. And I have no idea why that is, how that is. Like, how do you make – LeBron's contract is enormous. On top of that, he's got a lifetime deal with Nike. He's got a studio, like a filming studio in LA, on top of countless other sponsorships and business partnerships and shit like that. Tell me why LeBron James can't afford a $500 gaming system. Give it away to a college kid. Give it away to a guy with fucking 3 kids and just likes playing video games. Don't give it to LeBron fucking James.
If you're going to get mad about this, you have to get mad at Von Miller and countless others that received free ones as well.
LeBron's just the guy who's going to catch the brunt of my anger. It's anybody, any person, any famous person that gets like literally anything for free angers me to no end. Don't get it. I understand from a business perspective, like let's say you're a small business and you send a sweatshirt to Addison Rae. That's probably going to help you because she'll wear it. She'll put it on her story.
Is that what we're doing?
Maybe. People will want to buy it because Addison Rae has it, right? But like,
wait, Addison Rae went to DePaul.
If your Xbox, right? No, Lana Rhoades went to DePaul.
Lana Rhoades, that's who it was. Thank you for remembering.
If your Xbox, people know who you are. People are going to buy the console. Why do you need to send it to LeBron James for free?
I think you're just mad that you didn't get one.
I'm livid. Of course, I wouldn't want the Xbox. I'm a PS5 guy over here, but like it just doesn't make any sense to me.
They're coming to get you.
We love a good ambulance in the middle of the podcast. I truly feel like it's not a missed call podcast episode without the fine men and women of Chicago interrupting us with their sirens and horns.
I genuinely think that's the only time they come by is when we're recording.
Pitchforks and torches and
So best thing, my best thing would be going off of your anger. We're gonna talk about someone else's anger. Best thing I saw, that angry Trump supporter that interrupted that newscast.
Family stealing the election. The media's covering it up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media's covering it up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media's covering it up. We want our freedom for the world. Give us our freedom, Joe Biden. Joe Biden's covering up this election. He's stealing it.
It's the best thing. And the best part was how everyone just went like this. And then, like, let him finish. He's like, the Biden campaign.
Biden crime family. They're stealing the election. They're stealing votes. We want a fair election.
And they just walks away.
His shirt said something along the line of like barbecue, beer, and freedom.
That's what it said. That's what it said. And I just love how the guy that was being interviewed just goes, next question.
What's funny is like that's not the only one. I've seen like almost like a supercut of that kind of stuff happening. And there was another one where some dude showed up behind the interview that was happening and started screaming some stuff. And whoever was being interviewed turned around and said, "Hey, shut the fuck up."
He said, hey. And he's like, hey. He goes, is this real or fake news? He goes, fuck off.
Yeah. Yes. He's like, hey, fuck you.
He was live, too. He was live.
And you know what? If I am that guy's boss, if I am the news director,
who cares?
I would literally be like, who cares? Keep going.
Dude,
that was great.
What I have to say about the situation is, when I saw it, I'm like, it's been a hot minute since a broadcast, newscast, whatever the word you want to use, has been interrupted. The last one I can think of was the Super Bowl, I feel like.
Yeah, and even that's questionable to call it like a broadcast. I'm talking like TV interviews. Like it's been a little bit. I mean, I have to maybe think back to the fucker right in the pussy guy.
That's my thoughts exactly.
Yeah, like some
right.
like some really like it sticks and people. Everybody knows what you're talking about when you're talking about somebody interrupting an interview like that. It's got to be the fucker right in the pussy.
The
guy,
Super
right?
Bowl was the guy that was talking about the UFOs and aliens.
Yeah, and hey, and then what happened a couple months later? The fucking Pentagon came out and said they're real. They're all real.
Aliens.
The Pentagon basically did that because they were there was an influx. They heard that there was an influx of people doing like psychedelics, and so they're like UFOs. It's all real. They're basically like nightmares to fucking people on LSD.
Hey, make sure you pee after sex so you don't get a UFO. That's science.
Bangers.
That's science.
100%. Okay, so moving on, the Cowboys have finally pulled out. They've finally stopped fucking me. They've pulled out after aggressively pounding my asshole for multiple weeks.
9 to be exact.
It's a great 8 technically. It's great to finally be here.
You and Jerry Jones.
Maybe. That's entirely possible. Fucking, here's the thing, man. I'm the smartest sports gambler there's ever been.
I saw that tweet and I'm like, this guy could shut the hell up.
There's nobody that is willing to stick with a team like me.
How's that smart?
See it through to the end. I mean, I've got people on Twitter saying this guy knows what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, and then you didn't.
I might be the best handicapper there's ever been. Let's talk about it for a second. We talked about it on the missed call segment for this week, which we put out on our Instagram yesterday. Go ahead. If you're just a listener, we'd love to have you as a follower as well. Go over to Call Podcast on Instagram or on Twitter. You find us there. We do 2 segments every week called Call Your Shots, where we talk about our picks for the weekend, and then on Monday we recap that with a segment called Missed Calls. And it's basically sports gambling driven, but there are some other things that are touched on in there too. But so, all right, the Cowboys have fucked me for 8 weeks.
Oh, we know.
There have been 3 teams all time that have started the season 0-8 against the spread. So I say to myself, there's no way that this team becomes the first team to reach 0-9 against the spread. The Cowboys are bad, but they are not the worst team I've ever seen.
No, that's the Bears.
They are not the worst team I've ever seen. And so going 0-9 against the spread for this team didn't seem like it was going to happen. So I made the intelligent decision to take them plus 14 against the Cowboys, and it hit. And that, my friends, was the best thing that I saw this week. Cub, you go ahead and tell the people how smart I am, and then we'll move on.
Sauce has got some brain cells.
Just go ahead and tell everybody how smart I am, and then we'll move on.
Sauce has a few brain cells.
And then tell them about how smart I am?
He's got enough brain cells to gamble.
Okay, I think Cub is breaking up. I don't know that he can hear me very well. So we'll keep rolling. Cub, you have a That Ain't It Chief.
Yeah, Skip Bayless. Now,
usually is a culprit of That Ain't It Chief.
This one triggered me. I don't even follow Skip, so I'm glad this came on my feed. After the Notre Dame Clemson game, Skip Bayless tweeted out, "Congrats to Notre Dame and Ian Book for outfighting Clemson, but the team that's playing the best right now in college football is ... Oklahoma."
Okay.
And I quoted that tweet. And I quoted that tweet and I said, how? Please explain how they're the best team in college football. They have only beaten one ranked team and lost to two unranked teams. Yesterday, they murdered the worst team in the conference. Please, Skip, tell me how. Please. How? As an Oklahoma fan, how?
That's my favorite thing in the world is
How?
when people go, as this, and they insert whatever, and then they go on with their statement.
I'm that's just me not being an ignorant, biased fan.
I get it, and that's how most fans do it. They're like, as an Eagles fan, the Cowboys aren't that bad.
But as someone who enjoys watching Oklahoma football, enjoys rooting for the Sooners, Skip Bayless, are we watching the same thing?
Well, I mean, so
they're ranked like 16th, 17th, 16th or 19th, whatever. Who cares? They're not even in the top 10.
I get it, but so for a second, let's talk about the fact that there are a handful of guys at the top of sports media, and their job is to literally just rile people up, right? You think of Stephen A., Max Kellerman, Skip, and Shannon, and then also Colin Cowherd as well. Like, their job is to just come up with nonsense. And
why?
Because look at what we're doing right now.
He's giving us content.
He's giving us content, but we're also talking about his takes. You see what I'm saying?
Because they're brutally bad.
But it doesn't matter. His job is to get engagement, and here we are on our own airtime talking about Colin Cowherd. I'm not.
Skip Bayless.
I'm not shaming you. Whoever the fuck, they're all the same person. I'm not shaming you. Yeah, they're just one big ugly conglomerate.
You got Shannon Sharp's shoulders, and then it's Skip Bayless's head.
Yeah, well, you know how they always make those figures of this is the ideal quarterback, and it's somebody's head, somebody's arms, somebody's legs, and somebody's decision making or whatever. It's that. It's like a
if there's a listener out there that could put together Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, Max Kellerman, Colin Cowherd, and Stephen A. Smith into one.
And Joy Taylor.
I guess Joy Taylor can join. Please put that together for us, and I will send you $2.
I'll match any donations made up to $2. So, but no, that I definitely can get behind that being what the fuck, that ain't it, bro. But I think that's their job, is to get us to do this type of shit. So this might be my favorite thing that we talk about today. Thoughts and prayers to Tony La Russa, the Hall of Fame baseball person, Tony La Russa, got into a little kerfuffle with a curb back in February and has since now been charged with a DUI for running his car into that curb.
He only had a glass of wine. How was he drunk? 76. 76, just a glass of wine.
This is so funny, dude. This is so funny. It's we said last week, I've been saying for almost 2 weeks now, this is going to be bad. This is bad. It's not going to work out.
It's been 2 weeks and he's possibly on the hot seat?
He is. I would say he is on the hot seat, but at the same time, there's also this part of my brain that says he's not, because the White Sox hired him knowing that this was a possibility, knowing that this was something that was on the table, could happen, and if it did, where we're at in baseball news with there being none at the moment, this is going to be a major story. This is a major story. If this happened in the middle of a season, it'd probably get swept under the rug in 10 days. But this is going to be around now and be a predominant story, and everybody's going to know that Tony La Russa has gotten a DUI.
I'm a legit Hall of Famer, brother. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that they might have possibly arrested Hulk Hogan instead of Tony La Russa. I'm just very concerned.
Yeah. Oh, and that was part of the dialogue that he had with the officers who responded to that night. Was he opened the door or whatever he did, and in the dialogue with the officers, he said, "I'm a legit Hall of Famer, brother."
I'm a legit Hall of Fame brother.
Do you know who I am?
A Hall of Fame baseball person.
He pulled that one out of his back pocket. So I wanted to read this excerpt from Jeff Passan's column on this topic. So on February 24th at 11:40 p.m., a peace officer responded to a call and found Tony La Russa standing alongside his SUV, according to an affidavit filed by the Arizona Department of Public Safety. La Russa told the officer, who had detected a light odor of alcoholic beverage, that he had been at a dinner with friends from the Los Angeles Angels, for whom he was working as a special advisor. La Russa was stopped near the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, and he told the officer that he hit something and had a tire blowout, according to the affidavit. After a field sobriety test, La Russa was taken into custody. In the affidavit, the peace officer described him as argumentative. And then, after this story comes out, Passan hits us on Twitter and says, this is actually what he said. We obtained a word-for-word dialogue of what happened. And La Russa said, do you know who I am? I am a Hall of Fame baseball person.
It's the person for me.
Yeah, no, not knowing how to talk is always good. But like, so going further than this, Tony La Russa, the DUI, definitely not a great look for anybody, but especially the newly hired manager of an organization that is supposed to be taking steps towards being a World Series contender. You know what I mean? And the White Sox just continue to slap their fans in the face and disrespect them with moves like this. But as of the middle of the week last week, Tim Anderson was still saying that he had not yet heard from Tony La Russa. La Russa had not yet reached out. I feel like that should be something right away, especially with the way the media was blowing it up and saying, well, how is this relationship going to work out? Allegedly, Tim Anderson has still not yet heard from Tony La Russa.
I have a hot take. I think Tony has contacted him. It would probably be via email, and I'm pretty sure Tim Anderson does not check his emails.
No, it's by homing pigeon.
No, AOL chat. That's what it is.
He's just using archaic forms of communication to try to get to him. Not working. But then on top of that, I mean, it just keeps piling on. It just keeps looking like the worst decision the White Sox could have made. And the funniest part is they're going to stand their ground. So on top of not reaching out to Tim Anderson, Marcus Stroman today on Twitter basically said, there is no amount of money that you could pay me that would get me to come to Chicago. So Jeff Passan, the baseball insider for ESPN, tweeted out the story about the DUI misdemeanor. Keith Law, who is a baseball writer, said, they knew, they hired him anyway. Marcus Stroman replied with like a shaking my head. And then they went back and forth to the point where Stroman came out and said, no amount of money, honestly, would get me to go to Chicago. Peace of mind is always a priority. So the White Sox, who need an extra starting pitcher, just put themselves out of the running by having an asshat for a manager.
Hey, Marcus, come stay in New York, but just come to the other side.
I'm cool with him coming to the north side, too. As long as he's wearing pinstripes, I think both of us will be just okay with that.
Just not red pinstripes.
No red pinstripes, no black pinstripes. We'll be all right.
We'll be A-okay.
We'll be moving and grooving. But, yeah, Tony La Russa, thoughts and prayers. I guess that we should conclude the segment with thoughts and prayers. We're thinking of you. Hashtag
T's and P's.
Pray for La Russa.
Hashtag T's and P's.
Hashtag T's and P's. All right. Let's jump into NFL Week 9. We'll wrap up the show with Struggle Bus, Fake Taxi, and Tinder Bios. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, the NFL, I thought this was a really strong slate of football this week. There were a couple of matchups that I really wanted to watch. Unfortunately, as a Bears fan, you're stuck watching the Bears because, if you're going to be a media member in the city of Chicago, you have to watch the Bears. Unfortunately, again, I say, unfortunately, you have to watch the Bears. And that was probably one of the worst games I've seen them play in a long time.
I'm waiting for someone from Bears Twitter to be like, well, they almost came back and tied up the game. Oh. They got garbage time points, and they scored all their points in the fourth quarter. Yeah, games are finished in the fourth quarter, but there's also a thing called garbage time points. They weren't winning that game. They weren't winning that game.
No
if
shot.
If you thought they were going to get that onside kick, you're crazy. And if you thought they would get the onside kick and come back and score, you're crazy. They suck so bad that the Cowboys look better than them, and the Cowboys are on a practice squad quarterback.
They're on their fourth-string quarterback, and their offense looked better against one of the top defenses in the league.
You telling me that if the Bears played the Steelers, the Bears would put up 20-something points? No.
Like, so for a second, let's talk about the fact that yes, we are aware that the Bears did not have. They didn't have one actual starter on the line, or maybe they had Leno and that was it, right?
Yeah, it was Leno.
They had 20% of their offensive line available. They had some dude named Arlington Hambright starting, the 7th round selection for the Bears this year. Arlington Hambright. Lachavious Simmons was unavailable. So the line was a mess. We know this, right? But if you look at the matchup, the big thing that I was watching was the Bears O-line versus the Titans D-line because no Jadeveon Clowney. And outside of that, there's no pass rush for the Titans. They don't have a pass rush. There were times that I thought the Bears' offensive line looked all right. They created a pocket here and there. There were opportunities for the offense to capitalize, and they just didn't. And it sucks. But, like, this is what you built, Ryan Pace.
Hey, Ryan
This is
Pace.
what you put together. You focus so much of your time and effort on trying to find a kicker and worrying about if Trubisky was the right option or not, that you let your entire offensive line look like garbage. You were just all right with signing Charles Leno Jr. and Bobby Massey to long-term contracts. You were okay with that, even though they suck. This is the most penalized team in football. Just fucking throwing money at bad players. Look at Robert Quinn, hasn't had a sack since the first play of week 2. Throwing money at the wrong people. And then we sit here and we wonder why the team's not very good.
Giving money to Tariq Cohen as well.
Giving money to Tariq Cohen. Now, I like Tariq Cohen as a person, but as a football player, I'm not sure I'm 100% sold on him. Especially getting paid top 10 running back money is kind of crazy.
He's not even top 15.
So we talk about all of that, and I mean, it's almost so hard to cover the Bears.
It is
because where do you start? It's so hard to organize what to talk about because the line is bad, the quarterback play is bad. Some of the wide receivers are awful. Anthony Miller, get him the fuck out of here. Anthony Miller can't catch a fucking ball. It's 50-50. Even if he's wide open, it's 50-50 whether he catches the goddamn ball or not. The play calling is awful.
Dude,
you can even talk about the confidence of that team is fucking so low.
It's so 100%. The play calling, dude. Nagy's not it. Nagy has. I don't care what his record is. He's got to go. As a coach, I'm gonna say he came from the Andy Reid tree. Andy Reid
which is going to buy him an extra year, by the way.
Yeah.
You could say he's going to be gone. I am still of the belief that he's going to be able to draft his quarterback next year, and get another shot to do it. And Ryan Pace will still be around too. That's just my general belief.
And that might work, but he's not. Like Andy Reid has done some incredible things with his offenses throughout the years. Like he's changed his offenses with Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Nick Foles, Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes. He's been able to adapt. Matt Nagy can't adapt to anything.
Right.
He's a bad coach.
He's too worried about being him.
He's too busy about He's too busy trying to make Nick Foles into what he wants or Mitch Trubisky to what he wants. He needs to adapt to what these quarterbacks are able to do, and he does not do that, which is horrible as a coach.
Right.
Horrible.
Well, let's talk about the offensive rankings through week 9. Yards per play, they're 31st in the league. Yards per carry, they're 29th in the league. Yards per pass, 29th in the league. Interception rate, 22nd in the league. Percentage to pick up a third down, 31st in the league.
What's the percent?
32.3%. So basically a third of all third downs that convert. That's good for 31st in the NFL. Percentage converted in the red zone, 30th. Points per game, 29th. Like, what else? What other evidence do you need, Matt Nagy, that it's you're not good at calling plays? I think this. I'm willing to give credit where credit's due. I think Nagy is a good leader of men, which is what you need out of a head coach. He seems positive enough. It seems like players like to play for him, or at least they have liked to play for him in the past. Right. Like, there have been some things that show me that Nagy's a good leader of men. To me, that's what your head coach should be. Your coordinators, it makes no sense to have Bill Lazor on the sideline and not have him calling plays or being an integral part of the decision-making on offense. Why even have an offensive coordinator at that point? Why do you need to fill that slot if you're just going to continue to call bullshit-ass fucking plays? And we know you're not taking anybody else's opinion into account because we see the same shit week in and week out.
Honestly, it's getting worse as the weeks go by.
And this game against the Titans was proof of that. I mean, they had 3 points on the board in midway through the fourth quarter. The offense couldn't get the ball moving. The Titans' defense looked bored. The Titans' offense, I mean, they were going for it on fourth down inside their own offensive territory because they were that confident that the Bears wouldn't do anything with it. And guess what? They didn't.
I haven't put on my Bears jersey in so long, and I don't want to put it back on.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to call yourself a Bears fan.
It's like you said in the beginning, that if you want to be someone of the media in Chicago, you have to watch games. But say you're not into the media. I want to know how many fans out there, if you're listening, please let us know. Did you turn off the game at halftime? Did you turn off the game in the third quarter? Like,
there's other. I mean, it was a beautiful day on Sunday. There were other things to go do.
Yeah, if you weren't us, did you go out and have a nice walk with your loved ones?
I would hope so. I would hope that you went and did something else. If you're not a member of the media, if you were watching that Bears game, I hope you found it in yourself to turn the fucking game off and go outside.
Or if you're just a diehard football guy, at least did you change the channel? Did you change the channel? Because there were some good games, and we didn't get to see them because –
So – one of the other things that I wanted to bring up was the fact that the Bears haven't had a multi-point victory. I guess I should say a double-digit victory.
Since 2018?
Since week 4 of 2019, when they beat the Vikings 16-6. That's 21 games ago. That stat comes from Joe Ostrowski from 670 The Score. That's 21 games ago that they beat an opponent by 10 points, and it was the lowly Vikings. Now, allegedly, going into this next week, and this is where I'll be done talking about the Bears, but allegedly going into this next week, the Bears are critically thinking about whether or not Matt Nagy should give up the play calling. Apparently, there is some real thought being put into that.
Please help.
Whether that's true remains to be seen. We hope that – I think both of us are on the same train that we hope this is the end of Matt Nagy play calling for a little bit, if not quite some time. Anything else you need to say about this game?
This is one last thing. Last thing we're going to talk about with the Bears, and this is just for one special person that is very near and dear to our hearts. Pick up the phone, Ryan Pace, and call Ted Larson.
Yeah.
You see him in Idaho, you see him in Arizona. That man looks good. You see him.
Yeah, he does.
Hiking that log into that fire. I talked to him yesterday. I said, there's a buzz in the air. He goes, there has to be after yesterday, right? And I go, yes, you were mentioned on 670 The Score. And I hope to God somebody calls, because if we can break that news, my life will be made for 30 seconds.
I hope anybody calls Ted. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Bears. I would love if it was, but the Dolphins could come calling, and I would get that Dolphins jersey in a heartbeat. I would fly to Miami and watch a game there in a heartbeat just to see our thick president doing his thing. Now, one last thing before we move away from this, let's just say if you're a listener, if you are a loyal listener, please, for the love of God, pause this podcast right now. Go on Twitter. Call the Chicago Bears a chicken shit organization until they hashtag it, sign Ted Larson. This is a grassroots movement that we're trying to get caught on fire. Ted Larson needs to be on a roster. It has to happen this year. Let's fucking do it. Go on Twitter right now, hashtag sign Ted Larson, and make sure you call the Bears a chicken shit organization.
Tell them they're cowards until they pick up the phone and call Ted Larson.
100%. Okay, let's move on into some other games. I liked this Miami-Arizona game a ton. I think that we saw two quarterbacks that we're going to be hearing a lot from for the next decade and a half. Kyler Murray, Tua tongued me down lower, and it was an interesting game. Both guys threw for over 240 yards. Both had 2 touchdowns or more. I thought both looked really good. And I was also intrigued with this game because the Arizona Cardinals have the number 1 ranked offense in the league. The Dolphins, on some accounts, had the number 1 ranked defense in the league. So it was fun to see the two go up against one another.
I want to go out on a limb and say Miami's the dark horse of the league right now.
I honestly think so. I think they're the popular dark horse, though. Does that make sense?
How could you hate them? Is the thing. How could you hate them?
You don't.
You can't, because they're the little brother that's like trying to beat up the older brother. Like they haven't been anything since 1980.
And now they finally have a shot too, because the Patriots are dog shit.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to just point out that the 2020 quarterback class could potentially be better than the 2003.
Well, I think that there's needed to be an injection of highly skilled quarterbacks into the league. We're getting ready to find the end of the era where we have Breeze, Manning, and Brady. Obviously, Manning already gone. Breeze and
Big Ben, Phil.
Big Ben and Phil. Like, all of these guys seem to be on their way out very soon. But we need that injection of highly skilled quarterbacks. The guys we're going to root for and they're going to be household names from now until whenever they retire. I think Joe Burrow is one of those guys. I truly believe that Kyler Murray and Tua tongue me down lower can be those guys in the NFL moving forward. So this was an incredibly exciting game to watch. I believe this is one that went down to the final seconds. Miami wins 34-31.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it, but I saw all the highlights, and I wish I got to watch it. But wasn't that the noon slate or the 1 o'clock slate?
I believe so, but remember, we were
in Chicago. We were in Tennessee.
We were handcuffed to the Bears game, unfortunately.
We were Tony La Russa in Nashville. Arrested.
Yeah.
That was a stretch. I'll never say that again.
Another game that was surprisingly close came down to literally the final play. Chiefs-Panthers. The Panthers played a phenomenal game. Christian McCaffrey had a huge first game back. The Chiefs were on their heels, it seemed like, all game, and it came down to Joey Sly, everybody's favorite drug dealer, kicking a 67-yard field goal for the win. Missed it wide right, but had the leg.
Where does that come from? Or did you just come up with that?
Joey Sly, doesn't that sound like somebody's street name?
Like a sly cat? Yeah.
Yeah, Joey Sly, how you doing?
Everybody's favorite drug dealer.
Yeah, I'm selling eights. What do you want? It just sounds like, you know what I mean? It sounds like Joey Sly. Like,
speaking of the Chiefs, they have lost one game in the last 365 days. One.
Crazy.
Them boys good.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Reid for so long was on the cusp of being so good. Had a couple of years where, like, just bad luck or whatever it might have been. And now he's got it's almost like Patrick Mahomes is the final, like, infinity stone that he needed in this gauntlet. And it's crazy how good his team is. And it's crazy how, like, mediocre that defense is. But they still get it done. Where do the Chiefs have money on that team? They've invested in their lines, both offense and defense,
Hold on, I'll get this ready for
and their quarterback. And what do they have? A successful football team. You're going to be able to find skilled wide receivers anywhere. Running backs are a dime a dozen. Cornerbacks are a dime a dozen. Hell, linebackers can even be a dime a dozen. Invest in your line, invest in both lines, and invest in your quarterback, and any team's going to be good. Case in point.
Who we got next?
I think the only other game I wanted to talk about would be Bills Seahawks, and I think with this game, Russell Wilson opened the door again for somebody else to be named the NFL MVP.
It's starting. I saw the talk. So like, who the dark horse? It was like Derrick Henry, I think Josh Allen, and then Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, if anyone.
I'd be willing to say Patrick Mahomes has snuck back into that conversation.
I forgot about that.
He's through 9 weeks, 8 games through 9 weeks. Mahomes has 1 interception and like 30 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers is still in there for sure. Now, Russell Wilson has been the leader. I think he still is, quote unquote, the leader at this point for NFL MVP, but it's getting close to the top.
I mean, like we say, every single week, who's good, and then it always changes. It's just like the MVP. Like you have one bad game, it's just like, oh, someone else is going to come on top, and then someone else is going to come on top. But if you genuinely had to pick somebody, I think it would be Mahomes. As of right now.
Yeah, I think it'd be close. I think Wilson would finally get some MVP votes, but I think that it would end up being Mahomes. I mean, in that game, he was sacked 5 times. That's another thing about the Seahawks. Their offensive line isn't great. Their defense, we know, is trash. If they had even any sort of defense whatsoever, they would be an all right team. They're just not. The defense I'm sorry. If they had any sort of defense, it'd be a shoo-in for Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what I should have said.
People don't.
But the defense just is not good.
People don't give Russell Wilson enough credit for what he does for that team and that organization and what he does every Sunday.
Yeah. No, I mean,
awesome.
if they invested in the offensive lines, I need to slow down. If they invested in the offensive line and the defensive line in Seattle, Russell Wilson would be your perennial MVP because he is, behind Patrick Mahomes, the most skilled quarterback in the NFL.
And he's only getting better. He's getting better as the team looks worse, which is astounding.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you how much of a backpack the Seahawks are and how strong Wilson's back really is. But Buffalo wins this one 44-34. Wilson, 390 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Josh Allen had a hell of a day, 415 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, and was sacked 7 times, which is crazy. Stephon Diggs, 118 yards. That seems to be one of the best trades of the offseason, one of the best acquisitions overall from the offseason is Stephon Diggs to the Bills. But, just the next question that I have is, like, we've talked about who's good.
Right? I knew this was coming.
Both teams that we say are good are AFC teams. I think we can both agree that the AFC Championship game is probably going to contain one of, if not both of, Kansas City and Pittsburgh, depending on how the playoff bracket shakes out. So the question then kind of shifts, and we've asked the question, who's good for 2 straight weeks. Let's ask the question, who's good in the NFC? Because to be honest with you, it's wide open.
I honestly need to look at the rankings right now so I don't miss anybody.
And that's fine. I mean, obviously the Seahawks are going to be there.
100%.
The Seahawks are good. It's just how good are they is kind of the question. If you kind of continue to look at it, I think you're probably going to say the Saints are good. The Bucks are good, even though they got absolutely annihilated by the Saints on Sunday Night Football. The Packers are good. But, like, who's the best? It seems like it's anybody's division to take, or anybody's league to take at that point.
NFC. So here, this is what Bleacher Report has for rankings. They have Kansas City 1, Pittsburgh 2, Green Bay 3, New Orleans 4, Bills 5, Ravens 6. The Ravens are going to go down from there. Seahawks 7, Bucks 8, and then Tennessee 9. I mean, there's a lot of iffy teams in that list, but they're still good. And by iffy, I mean I can't really trust them. Like the Ravens can't trust, Titans can't trust, Bucks I'm leaning towards I can't trust because of how bad they played against the Saints. And then obviously, like we said, the Seahawks. They're good, but are they good enough to get to the NFC Championship?
If you had to pick one team today to be in the Super Bowl for the NFC, who would it be?
I'm stuck between two.
Pick one.
Saints.
I'm willing to say it's the Packers.
That was my other team. But
I'm
I was
willing
thinking,
to say it's the Packers just because Aaron Rodgers seems like to be playing like a man possessed this year. I think that he's playing some of his best football, especially considering he's been without Devontae Adams, he's been without Alan Lazard, he's been throwing to nobodies essentially, getting great production out of Robert Tonyan, getting great production out of his running backs, even without Jamal Williams in certain weeks, without Aaron Jones in certain weeks. Like he just, it's a revolving door, and he somehow seems to have chemistry with everybody he's throwing the ball to or giving the ball to. If they can get right, the Packers, if they can get right and have everybody ready for the playoffs, I don't see how they aren't, because I think that they have a good pass rush. The Smith brothers are great for them. They've invested again. Like here we go. We're back to it. They have a decent offensive line. They've invested in the pass rush. They're a good football team.
They just have their biggest issue on defense is they're not a good run defense.
Right, but
still,
I feel like it's easier to stop. It's easier to stop the run.
Yeah.
Than it is to stop the pass. Right.
Yeah.
If you're just on your I don't know. That's where I'm at.
I was just pointing out a flaw. So.
Quick check-in on the NFC beast, and then we'll jump to baseball. Currently in the NFC East, Eagles 3-4-1 lead the division. Everybody else only has 2 wins. The Washington football team, the Cowboys, and the Giants are all 2-win teams. They are all within 1 game of taking the lead in the NFC East.
The Eagles have a higher chance of winning the division than the Steelers do. Interesting fun fact.
That is actually an interesting fact. I like that a lot. It's just so bad. Okay, NFL Week 9. Jets almost got their first win, but we won't talk about that because
the over hit.
Fuck a parlay.
What'd you bet?
I'm not talking about that here. MLB news. Alex Cora back at the helm for the Boston Red Sox. Let's talk about knee-jerk reactions when we first saw this. Go.
I laughed. I thought it was comical.
I was like, I kind of like shrugged my shoulders. And I said, "Fuck it,
welcome back."
Because what I've been saying about these 2 managers, Hinch and Cora, they, in my mind, should not be managing baseball, but they're going to be allowed to. So just accept it and let's move forward. I think that the Red Sox knew from the get that this is what they were going to do. They were going to fire him and bring him back after his 1 year. They really like Alex Cora. And like I'm saying, they probably should not be able to manage, but since they're there, fuck it. That's why I thought the White Sox should have got AJ Hinch.
So I have a question for you. I talked about this with Wes Luke Tone. Oh wait, he's not going by that anymore. We'll just call him Tone Malone. That's what I'm calling him from now on. Our boss, Anthony, Tone Malone. He said that the Red Sox are going to be a playoff team with adding Cora back. What are your thoughts?
That's interesting.
That's what I thought.
The Red Sox are a team that needs pitching for sure. They have to go out and add a pitcher this year. They're going to be getting – we talked about this last week. They're going to be getting back Chris Sale. They're going to be getting back Eduardo Rodriguez. So those will be two big pluses for them going into next year. They've got so much money tied up, though. I mean, you think about J.D. Martinez's contract. You think about the contract for Nathan Eovaldi. I don't know.
My thing.
I don't know. I don't know that I can definitively say yes or no. They're going to be a wild card team, and I think there's a lot of teams already in the AL that are going to be really good next year. I mean, so you think about it. They might even have to be wild card too, because think about the AL East for a second. You've got the defending AL champion Rays. You've got the Yankees, who are bound to be a playoff team again. They have too much talent on that roster to not be a playoff team again. The Rays aren't losing many pieces.
The Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays are going to be getting better. And the Red Sox are going to have to be wild card number 2. Because the playoff bracket goes back to 2018 form, where it's 2 wild cards, the 3 division winners, and the winner of the wild card game goes to play on with the 1 seed in the AL and the NL respectively. So now that I've talked through this out loud, I'm willing to say Tony is wrong. They will not be a playoff team next year. I don't see it happening.
I didn't go as in depth with him as you did. I just said all they're getting back is Sale. Like and they're getting a new coach. How well could they possibly be? That's all I said. I'm like, I don't know where you're getting that from. Maybe he was just trying to get a reaction out of me, maybe to boil my blood, which won't happen.
That's an easy thing to do.
Not really. Try doing it right now. You won't. Just say Skip Bayless.
Okay, so Alex Cora back at the helm for the Red Sox. Justin Turner, you may remember, after the Dodgers won their first World Series since 1988, Justin Turner had been removed from that game in like the 6th inning because he had a COVID test come back positive in the middle of Game 6 or Game 5 of the World Series.
Whatever game they wanted. Hey, Rob Manfred, give yourself a goddamn pat on the back, brother. You did the right thing.
But, okay, so Turner's removed from the game, and then after the Dodgers win, Turner comes out of his little isolation room and comes and parties with the boys. Says, fuck it.
As any human being would in that situation. There are so many people that I saw write about how Turner's the problem with COVID. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up. If you were in his shoes, you would have left the bubble or whatever they put him, and you would have went out, took your mask off, and took pictures with your teammates and your fellow brother and whatever. You would have done that. No normal person, nobody would sit in the freaking dugout or in the clubhouse to just wait for them to come back. Nobody's doing that.
I'm 100% with you here, Cub. That's exactly what I think most normal people would do. Certainly, we're not advocating for
no. That's not what we're saying.
Being reckless in regard to the coronavirus. But, Justin Turner has been the heart and soul of this Dodgers team for many years now. This will be his last year on contract with the Dodgers. They probably will not re-sign him. Who knows if he'll get to sign another contract. I believe he's 36 already. And he wins the World Series, was a vital part of this team. And he might not ever get a chance to win another one. So I would have done the same shit. I can't sit here and be judgy and say, like, oh, no, like, that's wrong. Because I probably would do the same shit. And I'm happy that the MLB didn't punish him. This is one time where the MLB got it right.
And on the back, Rob Manfred. This is also a mask podcast. Like, just check out our logo.
True.
Come on.
And when we went to Western Kentucky, I was the only guy in the bar the entire time that had a mask on. because responsible.
Thanks for putting me under the bus.
And there's video proof of that. If you go and watch our vlog on our YouTube channel, you can find that Missed Call podcast. Go check out the Roadie Part 2 on our YouTube channel.
I just have to say thanks for throwing me under the bus.
Well, you technically threw yourself under the bus, but we will keep rolling, I suppose. Trying to find the tweet to set up the next portion of MLB talk. The offseason we talked about last week is going to be sad. It's going to be kind of crazy because MLB teams are going to be cutting a lot of money. They're not going to be spending a ton. They're going to be cutting a ton because COVID has really taken a toll on the profits that these teams have made this past year. No fans being in the stands, no merchandise being bought, no hot dogs, no glizzies being gobbled, and no beers being guzzled either. So, it's been tough for MLB organizations, and it's going to be tougher for MLB players. So far already, there has been $78.5 million saved in draft dollars. There's $165 million saved in international spending, which has been deferred to next year, not 2021, but the 2022 window, right? Or no, I take that back. There was no international spending used in 2020, so all that money is deferred until 2021. Finally, there have been $307 million in options declined by MLB teams. So you think of all the players who had team options this year, $307 million altogether have been declined by teams to make players free agents. That includes, if you think about John Lester, his option being declined, Daniel Descalso from the Cubs, their options being declined. I think J.A. Happ was a guy for the Yankees, too, that had his option declined. All together combines for $307 million. It's crazy. Teams are drastically cutting from what happened from 2020. It's going to be a really weird offseason. So far, we're, I think, a week into the free agency window in baseball, and there's been one signing, a one-year deal for Robbie Ray to stay in Toronto. And I would assume that's probably has something to do with the fact that Robbie Ray didn't want to leave Canada and come back to America. So he probably just wanted to stay there, sign the one-year deal, and say, screw it. I think it's an $8 million deal. But it's kind of scary when you think about the current state of baseball prior to coronavirus. You factor in how poorly things are run right now in general, and now you kind of factor in all of these X factors from the COVID season and how much teams are going to be cutting, and it's crazy to think about.
It is weird. It's just, dude, we could sum that whole thing up with just saying, dude, it's 2020. It's weird.
Well, and think about too, like minor league baseball players didn't have a season this year, and they all got screwed out of money, and they all got screwed out of opportunities, and that's going to continue to be the trend because in general, minor league baseball players get fucked. Like they play baseball and get fucked. That's their job because MLB teams don't really, unless they have a highly touted prospect in the minor leagues, they don't really care about you.
You're just there.
You're just there. I mean, it's crazy stuff, man. And also, real quick, something that I've been on my soapbox all week saying is, if you need additional information to clue you into why the MLB is so poorly run, the AL and NL MVPs are still yet to be named, and we are recording at 3:20 on the afternoon of November the 10th. 2 full weeks after the World Series has concluded, and we're still waiting to hear who the AL and NL MVPs are. Hey, guess what? Nobody fucking cares at this point.
Yeah, it's like don't even give it to anyone now.
Nobody cares.
What did they have on election day? They had awards, right?
They had the Silver Sluggers or Gold Gloves announced last Tuesday on election day.
Good job. I didn't even know about it. Good job.
To me, like, so if you think about it, right, and then we'll move off of this and go talk about college football. But to me, usually in between the AL and NL championship series, there's like a 3-day, 2-day gap where all the teams get an opportunity to rest up and get ready for the World Series. In that 2 or 3 days, you should have the Golden Gloves announced, the Silver Sluggers announced, and the AL and NL Manager of the Year. And then on the first 3 days of the World Series, you should have AL and NL Rookie of the Year. And then the following day, you should have both Cy Youngs announced. And then during Game 3 or before Game 3, the day of Game 3, you should have both MVPs announced. When the attention is on baseball, do the awards.
Just like how the NFL does it right before the Super Bowl. It's the day before.
When the attention is at its peak, why not do the awards then? People give the most shits, the most fucks are given about baseball during the World Series and leading up to the World Series.
You know what it is? Their marketing team, along with obviously Rob Manfred, they don't have. I'm just going out on a limb. Like, the marketing team for the MLB is not young. The people who are working the social medias for their own prospective teams, those people are young, and you can tell because of how they interact on Twitter. Like,
right.
The Florida Marlins Twitter, why am I following them? Because their tweets are hysterical and perfect.
Right.
Just like how Popeyes was when they came out with the sandwiches. Those tweets were electric.
Yeah, they were great. You're right.
And what does the MLB have? Oh, look, Nolan Arenado hit a home run. New.
I mean, I think back to our conversation, our interview that we had with our boss, Tony, not Wes Luke Tone.
Tone Malone.
Yeah, the artist formerly known as Wes Luke Tone. And he says, and it's a common knowledge fact, but the average age of an MLB fan is 56 years old.
But he's old.
It's sad. The state of baseball isn't great. It's disheartening. So let's talk about something that isn't disheartening. The fact that Notre Dame students might all have coronavirus.
No, Sauce. You ignorant piece of crap. They go to a Catholic college. God was in that stadium Saturday night. And you know what?
I'm so happy we're on the same page, because did you see my tweet after the game?
I can't believe you were saying that blasphemous right now. Those are Catholic students. All those kids believe in God, and they said a prayer before that game, and they took their masks off and said, God is with me right now. Thoughts and prayers to every student at Notre Dame, and that was at that game, and took Instagram photos from the field. I saw those photos. None of you had masks on. They were under your chin.
I'm like I said, I'm so happy we're on the same page, because I literally tweeted after the game. I said, don't worry. The students at Notre Dame can't get COVID. They believe in God.
Now, we also have to point out that if anyone's like cheering for Notre Dame fans for being on the field, let's pump the brakes real quick. Let's boop, boop, boop. What about all those people gathering when Biden became the president?
I even without getting political, I don't give a fuck that they rush the field.
I don't care either. If I was at the game, I'd do the same thing.
Right.
I understand the COVID situation. I understand how serious it is. I understand how easy it is to catch the virus. But the people our age are not going to die. So our age group.
Yeah, you just have to think about like spreading and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't want to get too deep down the political rabbit hole of COVID and shit like that.
No, but I just want to say, if you are pointing the finger at the people at that game that rushed the field, and you're, say, older than us, shut up. You would have done the same thing. Like, I get it 100%. But we are going to live our lives without regret.
So Clemson and Notre Dame played a football game that we should definitely talk about.
Hey, best game of the season. Best game I've watched thus far. That game was awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I was uncomfortable the whole time.
Well, you had some money on that game. I know you sprinkled a little bit of pizza by the slice money on there, and you had Notre Dame at -6.5, +6.5, and then you also had them money line, and they ended up covering the spread and winning there in double overtime. I thought it was a great game. I think if Trevor Lawrence plays in that game, it's completely different.
100%.
I think DJ.
Ooh, get out of the way. Ooh, get out of the way. Ooh, get out of the way.
DJ Uigalele, which
It's
I
on
think
his
I
arm.
said that correctly. He got it tattooed on his arm.
It's tattooed on his arm.
Phonetically, like it's like Uigalele.
It's like, like I'm not even
The
gonna
hyphens in the middle so you can pronounce it. I think he played obviously better than he did against the Boston College Terriers, but obviously not well enough. I watched most of that game. I wanted Notre Dame to lose so badly because both of us have this deep hatred for Notre Dame, the most privileged football program in all the land. And I was sad to see Clemson lose, but I also agree with you. This is probably the best college football game that we've seen all year. And it might be the best one that we see all year.
I like you said, if Clemson had all their starters, would not have been the same game. It almost wasn't the same game. Clemson almost won. But this pains me, Sauce, because you just said how much we hate Notre Dame. I respect this Notre Dame team.
Never in my life will I say that out loud.
I respect this Notre Dame team. They're different.
I'm cool.
At least say this with me. They are different from the ones from the past. This is a different team.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong. But
okay,
I had fun.
Keep talking for a second because I'm going to look up their football schedule.
Okay.
Because what do we always say about Notre Dame?
They don't play anyone good.
Why can't we stand them?
Because they never play anyone good and they're always ranked in top 10.
Because they are, and maybe if you're unfamiliar, not usually Notre Dame Fighting Irish play independently. They're not part of a football conference. So they make their own schedule. They're not required to play any teams because they're not part of the ACC or the SEC or the Big Ten. They ride solo dolo, which to me means they shouldn't have been able to play football this year. But the ACC said, come on, come play with us. And in the ACC, there's one good football team, which is Clemson. And Clemson is good. Clemson is a good football team. But so if you look through the schedule this year, Notre Dame beat Duke 27-13. They beat South Florida 52-0. They beat an awful Florida State team 42-26. They beat Louisville 12-7.
That was a close one.
Pittsburgh 45-3. Georgia Tech 31-13. Clemson 47-40. And the rest of the year they will play the Boston College Terriers, the UNC Tar Heels, Syracuse, and Wake Forest. They've played one actual team.
The best team
and they weren't at full strength.
The best team they play next is UNC, and that's it.
But Clemson wasn't even at full strength.
I know. But that's what, one ranked team?
And they're only going to play one ranked team. That's it.
UNC was ranked this year, but I think they're not ranked anymore. But
they're no longer ranked.
Yeah, that the schedule speaks for itself, as I always preach every season with them. But going off that game,
It's the same thing we see every year, Cub. It's the same fucking thing we see every year. It just continues. It just continues for the Fighting Irish. I think this is a fake-ass football team. When they go to because inevitably they're probably going to end up in the college football playoff. They play 4 really shitty teams the rest of the year. They're going to be in the playoff, and when they get there, they're going to get absolutely dick-slapped by whichever top 3 team that they play.
Now, the rankings are 1 Bama, 2 ND, sorry. Ohio State 3, Clemson's 4. As it should be. This is how this should look. But in a regular year, Ohio State would be no lower than 2. But since they've only played 2 games, it's impossible to say that Notre Dame is better or worse than them. So just
Go with your gut.
So if it stays like that, Mr. Sauce, we will hammer Ohio State in the playoffs.
So hard.
We will hammer them.
So hard.
Like, I will hit alternative spread for Ohio State.
It makes me so mad to no end. And my dad thinks that he's a Notre Dame fan, right? He's like, I'm just a good Catholic boy, and I like to watch, Notre Dame be good. I was like, hey, are you all right in the fucking head? Now, he was a couple glasses wine deep that night. When he called himself a good Catholic boy, I think that was the vino speaking. But sheesh, you know what I mean?
He had a couple of Tony La Russas, huh? Threw some back.
He had a couple Tony La Russas. That's yes, he did. All right, college football. Anything else that you want to talk about? I think we really only need to talk about that game. Obviously, there were some other good matchups this weekend as well, but nothing had more implications going forward. Nothing had more implications going forward than that Notre Dame Clemson game. I paid attention to the BYU game against, I think it was Boise State. I'm in love with Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson's going to be really good. And you know what's funny?
Come on the pod, Zach.
2 weeks ago, I watched him play, and I was like, this kid's really good. I was like, this could be like a mid-first, maybe early second-round draft pick for the Bears.
And the graphic picture came out?
Dude, it was like as soon as I was like, this kid is good, everybody figured out who the fuck Zach Wilson was. I was like, son of a fucking bitch. I was so upset.
He's good. I don't know what it is. There's something about that BYU jersey, the white ones. They're clean.
Clean, bro. The white and dark blue is a good look.
Oh, it's clean.
It's like when Penn State wears their whites.
I
Penn
hate
State's
it when
whites look really good too.
I don't like it when Penn State wears the white socks with it, because then it just looks like a towel.
Okay. All right. Let's get off of college football. Let's jump into Struggle Bus, Fake Taxi. Couple of good ones this week, I think. So if you're unfamiliar, if you're just hearing this segment for the first time, Struggle Bus is what it sounds like. We're talking about people riding the struggle bus, and Fake Taxi is the opposite of that. If you're familiar with that genre of pornography, basically you get into a taxi, I don't have enough money, and then you pay with sex. So, we're a pro-sex podcast, a pro-sex worker podcast.
Congrats on it.
Yeah, and so Fake Taxi is a good thing. So my struggle bus of the week is David West. And this is hilarious. If you didn't see this post, let me read it to you. David West was talking about when he knew it was time to hang it up. Now, we know that there have been a couple players throughout the years that are ring chasers. David West was one of those guys with the Warriors. I think he ended up getting 1 or 2 with them. But he was talking about when he knew it was time to hang it up. And he recanted this story of trying to back down Josh Hart, then of the Lakers. He said, I tried to post up Josh Hart a couple times, and I couldn't post him up. Literally during the game, I'm telling myself, yo, if you can't move this cat, you got to go. It's time. And I thought that shit was fucking hilarious. Because imagine if you're Josh Hart and you see this and you're like, damn, am I a bitch?
Yes, you are, Josh Hart. Yes, you are.
Like, I just think it's funny that like a guy like David West, who was around forever, played on some good basketball teams, was a good player himself, was like, I knew it was time for me to go when I couldn't back down Josh Hart. Josh Hart's got to take that and be like, I guess I suck.
He's on the Pelicans, not doing much.
So that's my struggle bus of the week.
Mine is our favorite DJ, your girlfriend's favorite DJ, DJ Gino G, Gino Faso.
Okay, Gino G, got it.
Mr. Faso was having a good old time drinking this past weekend. I was not there. So I wake up Sunday morning to this photo, Sauce. Don't show it, but I'm sending it to you right now. I woke up to that photo at 6 o'clock in the morning. I knew he was drinking the night before, And come to find out, Mr. Faso had to go to the hospital. He rode the scooter drunk and face planted into a minivan.
Hey, is this what Tony La Russa looked like?
That's my man's.
Hey, listen. This is a PSA to all of you out there. If you're drunk, please don't drive, even if it is an electric scooter.
He got a few
Just
stitches.
don't.
He got a few stitches, but he's all right.
Little neck brace action.
That was because he had to stay overnight at the hospital because he was drunk.
It's all good. But yeah, okay. I guess also thoughts and prayers, Gino.
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay. Fake taxi. This is good stuff. I have yet another tweet. Surprisingly, also NBA. I'm searching for it.
Big NBA guy, huh? Big.
Huge NBA guy. I mean, NBA Twitter. If you are familiar with other podcasts, you might know that NBA Twitter is just so good. George Karl, who you may remember was a head coach of the Nuggets during the Carmelo Anthony era, tweeted on November the 6th and said, if Donald Trump needs a pep talk about managing through first-round losses, I would be willing to speak with him tonight or read him a bedtime story, which is hilarious. If you know about the Nuggets of that era with Carmelo Anthony, they were great basketball teams always, but could never get past the first round. And George Karl was kind of blamed for that a lot of times. And so I just thought it was funny, especially given the times that we're in currently. I thought that was great. So George Karl's getting the fake taxi.
Speaking of George Karl, he looks like a villain from a superhero movie. Just his face. Doesn't he?
George Karl looks like a shitty version of the Penguin from Batman.
He's like Two-Face and Penguin combined.
Sure.
Very ugly guy. That's all I have to say.
Say it to his face. Bet you won't.
I'll bring him into the first round and tell it to his face. Fake taxi is going to you, Mr. Sauce. Cowboys won. You're back on top, buddy.
Oh, man. I didn't know we were coming back to this. Yeah. I mean, go me.
Hey, you wanted me to call you smart? I'll just give you the fake taxi. I'd rather do that.
So go ahead and tell everybody I'm smart.
Nah, the fake so Sauce Sartori kept betting the Cowboys, blah, 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 blah. Guy had sex this week. Congrats on it.
Yeah, good for me, right? No contraceptive. We'll keep moving. Let's wrap up the show with everybody's favorite segment. This is Tinder Bios. We always read two apiece, and we talk about what we would do with these fine women, sometimes even gentlemen, if we get sent in some spicy ones. We always want to hear what you guys see on your Tinders, because chances are you see some crazy shit too. So Snapchat the profile, send it to us on either Twitter. You can send it to us on Instagram as well. Again, both of those tags are @CallPodcast. We love user-generated content because that's the best content. So make sure you send those in to us. But I'll get us started today, Cub. I don't have a name for this fine person, but she is a bisexual woman living in Chicago. What a story. We've heard this one. We've heard this one before. But okay, so she's a writer. La-ti-frickin-da. She is a writer. Chicago, single, bi, Taurus, ambivert, funny, sassy, goofy, I got jokes, hope you have humor, no kids, dog mommy, book lover, scholar, poet, artist, gamer, frontline medical worker, stardust. Like, I promise you, I'm reading this as it's written. Each one of those things had a period between them, and some of them are capitalized for no reason.
What's an ambivert? That's why I gave it to you.
I have no idea. Maybe I'm trying to think. Maybe it's extrovert and introvert, but both. Like sometimes I'm extroverted, sometimes I'm introverted. She says, I'm looking for conversation, and I'll go from there. Ladies, hit me up, boo. Guys, don't hit me up with dick pics, and do not video chat me trying to masturbate. Here's the thing. I've always said, if you see a guy at the store buying just a plunger, he's not there because he doesn't need the plunger. You know what I mean? He needs that plunger quickly. So at the same time, what I'm saying with that is,
hey,
was that you?
I bought just a plunger.
Hold on. If you go to the store and buy just a plunger, chances are you have a clogged toilet at home. Right? It's a great sign of what's really happening. So by her saying, don't hit me up with dick pics or videos of you masturbating, that is a good sign to say that this person has had a couple of individuals message her with dick pics and videos of masturbation.
So, no name, what are you doing with her?
I'm definitely not sending her a picture of my dick or a video of me masturbating.
Naturally.
What I will say is this. Instead of saying I'm funny, she said goofy and I have jokes, which I respect a lot from her.
Means she's clever.
She says, yes, indeed. She says she's a gamer as well. So you know what? I'll play a little whatever the fuck. Maybe was it Among Us? We could play Among Us. That's what I'll do with her. Hopefully she doesn't think I'm sus.
But you're sauce.
This is always the hardest part of the show for me because my girlfriend listens to this.
Yeah, I know.
And I can't say like, oh, I'd fuck her.
I mean, I don't either.
Do that.
I mean, I don't either. This is
but
actually,
you could.
But no one's going to. This was sent into it. This was sent to me the other day. This is a guy. This is Ahmet. He's a Technical University of Ostrava. Okay.
Words are fun for Cup.
First picture is me and my love. I travel a lot. I design websites and market people for a living. Recently broke up with my girlfriend because she doesn't know the way I like my coffee. I like my coffee the same way I like my girlfriend, without someone else's dick in it. Also, fun fact, and really, really sad fact, the tingling sensation you get when eating a pineapple caused by an acid that breaks down meat. So when you're eating a pineapple, you're eating your... Let me redo that. That threw me off trying to read that. The tingling sensation you get when eating a pineapple caused by an acid that breaks down meat. So when you're eating a pineapple, it's eating you right back. This guy sounds nuts.
Why is it so hard for you to read anything?
It wasn't that. It was just throwing me off.
Why is it so hard for you to read a sentence?
What are you talking about? The last fucking month I've been fine. Get off me with that. Get off me with that.
Here's moving forward. You can send me the long ones, and you get to read the little ones. Like the next one that I have.
No.
The next one that I have from Hannah.
That one's perfect for you. Don't even say anything about that one.
The next one that I have from Hannah seems really good for you.
Sauce, I'm gonna fucking punch you in the teeth next time I see you, because the next one you get is like 4 words. Go fuck yourself.
That's why it'd be good for you.
No, it's not. You know damn well I've been fine lately. So with Ahmet, I'm gonna punch his teeth in because I'm gonna be thinking of Sauce talking shit about how I can't read.
No, Ahmet, you should stuff him full of pineapple.
Yeah, and then go find his ex-girlfriend.
And put your dick in her coffee.
I don't know if I'll be able to fit it in there, but we'll do our best.
Okay. Coffee cups are big, like really big.
I mean, don't I have to dunk it somehow?
Moving forward, I have Hannah, and this is fucking terrifying. Hannah had looks like either looks like Hannah had a really good time on Halloween, or she had an awful menstruation period. This is Hannah.
I'm gonna tell you something.
It looks like she's hung her sheets up.
Let me tell you something.
Long night.
I'm gonna tell you something. I've had that one for months, so don't even think about Halloween.
So this isn't even Halloween?
Not even close. I had that in probably June.
Oh my goodness. Knife in hand, scantily clad. I mean, she's in scantily clad. bra, underwear, and stockings. So this is meant to be seductive. Knife in hand. It looks like the Joker scar up her cheek. Just fucking good for you, dude. And you know what is funny? Somebody is going to look at this and say, I'm going to fuck her.
You know what's funny? That's her only photo.
Oh. That's troublesome. That's, hey, that's, as the kids say, tough. Really, that's the only thing you need to know about Hannah, but her bio says this: my eyebrows aren't real. That's it.
There's somebody else's.
Very
That's
scared.
why there's somebody else's.
She shaved somebody's eyebrows off and stuck them on her forehead. And the thing is she's got bangs too, so maybe if she pulls her bangs back, it's just like a trophy room of eyebrows.
What
pulls open the curtain, like, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer kept like fingers or whatever. This girl pulls her. She pulls her bangs back, and it's fucking just a list of people's eyebrows that she's chopped off.
No, and she's got them up there, and when she moves them on the side, people are like, "What are you so surprised about?" Because she's like this.
So Hannah, you scare me and intimidate me quite a bit, and I don't think that I want to be anywhere with you. So for that reason, I am out.
This is Ellie. She's 22. She works at home daycare. She went to Addison Trail. I didn't know that was a college or probably a high school. Not assuming. I'm a mom to a beautiful BBG.
Baby girl.
Oh. I'm just here to find friends and to have conversations with and play iMessage games with. Don't hit me up if you are a creep or drag ass at texting or is a boring texter. You'll get blocked ASAP. I'm a really funny person, but depends. Really funny. But depends lots of persons too. If you being boring, I'm probably gonna be boring too. Hit me up if you down to talk or take a big L. P.S. Don't be shy. Hit me up. That's so long, and it really just says, please don't be boring. I want to play iMessage games, and I'm funny, and I have a girl.
Just remember, Cub, there's a lot of people in this world who believe that they are smart, but in fact are just fucking dumb.
I mean,
and so that could be the case here with what's her name,
Caitlin? Ellie. Caitlin.
Same thing. Honestly, she could just be fucking dumb.
Her grammatical errors speak for themselves, because you think that's my reading disability, but it's not.
Wait, do you actually have a reading disability?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I kind of feel bad, but not really.
Ellie, I'm not playing iMessage.
You know what? Here's what you could do with Allie. Take her to the nearest high school to learn how to read and write.
I mean,
because Dum Dum doesn't know how to.
I'll take her back to Addison Trail.
Yes, a couple times, hopefully.
Just being a very honest person. If I saw this, take out having a kid. That's not a big deal. Play iMessage games. If you have to resort to playing iMessage games, that means the conversation sucks so bad that, like, hey, let's pick up the conversation with a little competition. That's how I view them, personally. If you're a boring texter, you'll get blocked ASAP. I'll probably be boring texter because you're the boring texter. Boom. I'm not shy, so Ellie, what's her anthem? Her anthem is La Santa by Bad Bunny. Yeah.
La 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 bamba.
Ba ba bamba. Yeah, Ellie kick rocks. We're done here.
Bad Bunny.
Hey, it's playa.
What up, player? I live in Long Beach.
No, it's playa.
I know, player.
Hey, say playa if you were Alex Rodriguez.
playa, pliers.
No, it's like
That's what it is. You know, like the tool pliers. Is it pliers? Pliers. Players. Pliers.
Pliers.
All right, let's wrap up the show. Episode 124 of the Missed Call Podcast. Couple of things. Make sure, first of all, if you're not following us already, make sure you do that on Instagram and Twitter at Call Podcast. You should also go ahead and follow our presenting sponsor, Bustem Media, at BUSTEM, Bustem Media. And then, of course, as always, we love you guys. We want to see you guys follow us and also tell us how we should do this show and how we can make it better. So, Sauce Sartori for me on Instagram, Light of Sartori on Twitter.
It's 3COLBY on Instagram, and then it's C_MARCHIO2 on Twitter. The hoodies, I'm telling you right now, I hope to have the mock-up posted by tomorrow. I'm still waiting on it, and as soon as we get that mock-up posted, you have 24 hours to let us know you want one and what your size you want, and I'm placing that order hopefully Thursday.
Yeah, just so you know, we are not dragging our feet on this. We are trying our absolute best to make sure that you guys have the hoodies just in time for Fat Boy Fall, and just so you can rep the brand and tell all your friends and family and your pastor and all of that about who we are here at the Missed Call Podcast. I imagine somebody actually being like, yeah, Pastor Steve, this is
They do Tinder
they
bios.
talk about fucking and sports.
They talk bad about the Catholic Church.
All right, let's wrap up. This has been episode 124. I'm Sauce Sartori and Cubwood, and we're getting the fuck out of here. We'll see you guys
on my
next time.
line, yeah. Never seen a pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't.